Going on YouTube? I'm actually going to make a quick video today about changing your LED or changing your lights from the incandescent bulbs to the LED bulbs without buying a kit. I don't really want to buy a kit. I'm sure, the kits are great. It's just, I don't know. I would rather, well, what I'm doing is actually a little bit more in depth. There's a little film that's over, so that little Dora jar light, so it's red. And the same thing for like the gas light is orange, the cruise control light's green, all that stuff. And there's like, all those fancy colors of the rainbow. I just want it, when I make my regular gauge lights white, I want those lights to be blue. So cruise control light would be blue, all that stuff. So there's a red film that's over the top of that. I want to take that film off. I'm pulling the gauges out because I actually have to replace this, the little odometer button thing, or the tripometer button. I have to, it's broken off and it's rolling around in there somewhere. If I could find it. Hopefully it didn't make its way out, but yeah, basically I'm going to glue that back together. So that's why I'm pulling these out. But this is a 95 Celica GT. If you have a 95 Celica GT, then you're in luck, because I'm going to go over a little bit of how to take these out. And they're basically pretty much all the same. You're going to have to take some trim stuff out. You don't have to take your whole dash out. I've never had to. I've pulled out a lot of these, and I've never had to take out the whole dash just to get the gauges out. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm actually taking out this little half bezel trim thing. It goes around the ignition. There's a plug on the back of it that I've already loosened before starting this video. That goes into the dimmer switch right there. And that's this. You don't let it get tucked back in there. So I'm gonna have to pause the video while I loosen the rest of this stuff, because there's two screws up here. If I can move this, there's a screw up here and there's a screw up here that takes this plastic piece out. So I'm gonna pause it for a second while I loosen that and take that out. All right, I got those screws out, and there was also, holding that little trim bezel piece that went around the top, there was also a screw on the right side of the ignition that went in there, and there was also a screw on this side that went in there. So once those screws are out, you can just take that out, those screws, and then the top two screws that I pointed out earlier. And I went ahead and took out these little screws at the bottom left and right, and the top left and right. So I took those out already, so I could just go ahead and pull these gauges out. The first time you try to take these gauges out, it's kind of tricky, but basically you'll angle the top back and you'll angle the bottom forward, and you'll try to get this over the ignition. Once you get that over the ignition, it slips right out. If not, I've got the steering wheel tilt all the way down too. That helps out. So once you get that out, you can fill up the back, and there's going to be 3 connector plugs. One on the left behind the RPM gauge, one in the middle behind the speedometer, and the other one is over here behind the temperature gauge and this stuff. So got it out, got it loose, and now it's just stuck. That's what it is. Alright, so you just keep angling it out, and you'll pull it out like that. So you'll basically just make a little, I don't know, so you'll keep pulling the bottom towards you and then start pushing it up, and then it's out. So when you look at the back, oh, almost dropped it. So you look at the back, and those are the plugs. You can't, they're all different. That's some others. That's not going to be in your car. That's for my, I can't really explain it. I have a different engine in the car, so I need a different RPM signal, and that one's coming from the ECU. But let's see. Okay, so here's my lights. It's the regular light bulbs, and what I would suggest doing is, you can try to read these little things like IG positive, ignition positive, all this little stuff. They're not really going to tell you what bulb is what. You'll have to shine a light down, and you can see I've actually traced out circuits on when I was doing the rewiring on something. But you can pull out the bulbs. You just turn it like almost a quarter turn, and you pull it out, and you've got these little ones. So if you can find LED replacements of these, then get white ones. Obviously, if you're going to do the same thing I'm doing, then get white ones for the actual gauge lights. and then you can shine a flashlight into each one of these holes, so you'll know which one is the gas light, which one is cruise control, which one is all that stuff, so that you can go a little bit more in depth. But I'm going to start this back in a second. I'm going to go upstairs and then take these apart the rest of the way. The rest of this kind of snaps out. You have 2 more screws here on the front that help take the housing apart, but everything else is just snapping, unsnapping everything. And these screws, actually, you don't want to take those out because they're holding in internal stuff, like the stuff that's more internal, things that actually, like the little circuit boards and whatever. You don't really want to take those out. Yeah, so I'll start this back in a second. All right, so I got the gauges upstairs. This just once you take off those 2 screws that I showed that were in the top left and the top right. First, that plastic cover comes off, and then this comes off, and then you're at the gauges. I mean, it doesn't really come straight off. You've got to work with these little snaps that are around the edge, and loosen those. So you need to loosen the clear plastic ones first, and then the black plastic ones second. All right. So once you get that off, it's kind of good. There's good and bad. Bad, I can't figure out how to get these off. I know some cars, like I took apart some Audi gauges, and this just kind of pops right out. I think Honda ones, and they popped off too, but these I can't pull off, and I don't want to try to pry off because I don't want to break them. If I have gauges that I'm okay with breaking because they don't work anymore, then I would, but that doesn't. The good, I kind of like this. I've already scraped this one. You see, like this back, it doesn't exactly, it has a little film over it that I was thinking it looks like you could peel off as a sheet, but when you look at it closer, that's what I thought before I started this video. But when you look at it closer, it's actually like kind of like a paint type thing. So they put this paint over it, which makes it nice. So that means I can set this in place. My flashlight down here. It didn't even work. And there. Okay. So see, I've already done that S. See how the S is a white, and the A and the B. I started on ABS because my car doesn't have ABS. So I figure if I mess it up, it doesn't matter unless I go to sell the gauges to somebody that does have ABS, but that's not very likely. So I just scraped off like most of the little paint behind the S just with just the edge of a razor knife, and it worked fine. I'm going to do the same thing with the cruise control, the gas. The gas is going to be kind of hard, I think, because it's not like letters, so I could follow like a little line. It would be more noticeable if I screw it up, so I wanted to be pretty careful with that one. Check engine light looks easy, and what is that? Oh, overdrive on off. I don't have overdrive. I mean, I do, but well, 5th gear, I guess. Mine's a manual transmission. So anyway, back to this. I actually can't get this off for the brake and which kind of sucks, because I don't know. I want to be able to get this off. I'm going to work with that a little bit more, and hopefully I can get it off. So I managed to get it off. It actually wasn't that hard. I just I got brave. I figured I'll just buy another set of gauges if I mess it up. Took my flathead screwdriver and stuck it under the edge of like where this snaps on, and I just carefully like turned the screwdriver just to pry it up, and just popped it off. So it didn't take that much effort for it to snap off. But do this with caution, because there is a risk that you would break it. And this is only a plastic piece, so you obviously don't want to break it. And once that came off, there was 2 little sticker things on the back that were used to hold this on. You can see that I did the same thing that I did with the other one. I just scraped off the E, so that I'll have it. You do want to be careful with this, because while I had it paused, I did notice, because I decided, okay, I'm going to try sandpaper, right? And again, I tried ABS because I'm experimenting with something that's, my car doesn't have ABS. So it doesn't matter on this to me, because I'm actually gonna use that ABS light for a shift light. So I'm gonna print out something with that's clear in the middle. I've got a friend with a one of those fancy vinyl printers, so I'll have him print out like a shift thing, and for my ECU I'll run a little wire. Instead of ABS, I'll just have a little shift light. So I'll have a shift light in place of my ABS, which would be nice. And I'll clean this up and get that tape residue off. I used to have clear white gauges with their own lighting on top of this, but that's, I don't really need that anymore. So don't use sandpaper. I tried using 400 grit. Don't use sandpaper unless you're gonna do what I did and completely remove ABS. Just go with a razor knife and scrape around. I'm actually gonna carefully use sandpaper on that gas tank, the gas light. So maybe that would be a little bit better. But yeah, I mean that's really all there is to it with this. Okay, so these bulbs, really quick, the types of bulbs that you would have to order. So this little one, this tiny one that came out, it actually came out of this, I pulled it out of this little holder, for it that snaps into the gauges. This bulb was called a 74, and if yours might be a little bit different, but hopefully if yours is like mine, it would have the number printed on the side, and I can't get it to focus. But anyway, the number would be printed. This small one is called a 74. This one is a little bit bigger than the 74, as you can see, and this the little wedge snap-in thing at the bottom is a little bit fatter too. It's a little bit wider. I don't actually know what this bulb is, so for now I'm going to leave it as the regular incandescent bulb for my fuel light, which means I'm not going to scrape off the little film that's over for the gas tank. In the gas tank, I keep saying gas tank, for the gas light, the gas gauge light, the fill level whatever indicator. So if somebody knows what this bulb is, then hey, please. I tried to look it up so that I could at least give an answer as to what it is, and I couldn't find it Googling. So I'll keep looking it up. If I find it, I'll put it in a comment. But if you guys know it, then please leave it in a comment. The other type of bulb that's left is this one, which is a regular 194 bulb, and this is just used to light up the actual gauge lights. So there's 3 of these. This is the 194, and so I'm gonna order 3 of the 194 bulbs, white, and then everything else is gonna be blue. So all of these little the 74 bulbs, which there's 4 in that side, 3 there, that's 7, and then another 4, that's 11. So I'm gonna get 11 of those bulbs. And yeah, so that'll be that. It'll be nice and yeah, blue and white. That's pretty exciting. And then I'll finish this video obviously whenever whenever the bulbs are in and there's the finished product. So all right, the bulbs aren't in. I just wanted to show this really quick. When you move the RPM needle, it does that, and as you can see, my lights are like an amber color. Because I haven't put the bulbs in yet. That's just how the incandescent bulb looks, unfiltered. So, but if you could, as you can see, like the RPM gauge is up at 3,000. My car is not running right now. It's that's what it should be. That's where it should be at the 0 position. So I'm gonna have to clock it down. So I mean, you can look at it and see like, okay, the distance between the 3 and the 0 is, or I guess that 3.2 or whatever that is, between 3.2 and 0 is, you know, like so and so inches. So I'm going to clock it down. Then my needle, I'm going to move it down so much, like before whenever I put it on. So I'll be putting it on where it's pretty much facing straight down. But yeah, that's, I don't know. If you've got to fix your needle, then that's how I'm going to fix mine, so that it's where it's supposed to be. But that's what the lights look like, and that's what happened with my needle. It's kind of out of sync right now, so I got to fix that. Right, this is a quick video of what it looks like in the daytime. You can't see the backlighting. I might have to switch the bulbs, but it looks blurry on the screen. It's not blurry in how I'm looking at it right now. It's just the camera that's making it look blurry. So nighttime, it's gonna be like beacons of light. But yeah, so I had to swap these because they are LED. LED is the current only flows in one direction because it is a diode, light emitting diode. So electricity only flows in one direction. So if you plug it in and it doesn't work, then don't, like email the person that you got it from and be like, hey, your stuff sucks. Just flip the bulb around and play around with the connection. I don't know why, I had to, in addition to flipping the socket around on the back of these, I also had to switch unplug the bulb and flip it over and put it back in. That doesn't make any sense, except maybe it was just a bad connection putting it in one way, and when I took it out and flipped it over and put it back in, there was a better connection. It's the only thing I could think of. But yeah, it's and I did switch the RPM needle. I tried to calculate. It's really hard to. There's a little stopping needle. It's like right there about where the brake light is that you can't tell is a brake light because it's too bright. I can get to anyway. That looks really cool though. I mean, nighttime this thing's gonna look awesome. But yeah, so I'm gonna flip over. I really can't see the backlighting if it's even on. I can't tell because it's still daylight. I'm probably going to flip the bulbs over anyway just to see if I can get it to light up. The only thing I couldn't get to work was my little SRS airbag light, but I don't remember that working before, so it might be something that was affected when I pulled out the computer of the car. I'm not sure. I would imagine the airbag system is completely separate from the car's computer, but for right now, I'm not really worried if the airbag light doesn't work. I don't really care. But I'm gonna check everything, make sure it works. So lights are off. When I turn the lights on, you can see that little glow that popped up around the top edges. So chances are good that they'll be shining at night. Turn it on. See, I have my little seatbelt light and the battery light. There's the brake light, which it's not a blur. I mean, I'm looking at it and it's crystal clear with my eyes, but it's a blur on the thing. My check engine light doesn't work because that is fed from the car's computer and I'm running an aftermarket computer. Cruise control light is a blur also. So cruise control light works, which is cool. High beam I made also. I put the little blue LED inside of it, but I didn't take off the filter. So you can see it didn't change the color. Well, actually all you see is a blur. I can't avoid the blur. Basically, it's the same color. Open the door, if it's not blocked. And look at that, another blur. It's crystal clear on from where my eyes are looking at it, and it actually looks great. I'm back inside. So these are the bulbs. I got 10 of these, and if you look at the actual size comparison between the two, they're pretty close to the same. Come on, would you focus? I've got to use something better than a cell phone camera. So yeah, they're pretty close. They fit in fine. They fit in perfectly. They don't get in the way of anything. And my little pouch. So this is the other pack of 10. I ordered a pack of 20 because it was like $10, and I figure between my my car and my bike, I'm gonna have plenty of these to switch around. But you see, they're about the same size. These are a little bit longer. You see, from where the wedge starts. Where the wedge starts at the bottom. These are maybe 3/16. It's about a quarter of an inch taller. But they don't get in the way of anything. They go straight in. They don't bump anything inside the gauges. Yeah, but they look really cool. The only thing I'm worried about is how bright they are. They look, when I swapped out my license plate lights, because the license plate was these also. When I put these in, I put one in one side and I left the other one, the incandescent bulb, the regular bulb, and I just visually compared the brightness, and it looks to be about the same brightness in the daytime when I'm looking at the actual bulbs, but we'll see how it is at night. But so right now I'm going to go put these back in, and hopefully in about an hour or so it'll be dark enough. Oh, my gauge. So I'm actually going to leave my RPM gauge as it is. Whenever I turn the key, it goes up to 1, which my RPM gauge doesn't work anyway, which I explained earlier in this video, I believe, because that was a week ago when I did this, the other half of the video. But mine doesn't work because I have a different engine in my car than what belongs, just for more performance and fun, I suppose. But yeah, this is that. I'm gonna throw the gauges back in, and if you want to keep adjusting your RPM gauge, then I would suggest just keep playing with the needle, popping the needle off, positioning it, and then putting it in place. It was really hard to get it over that little stopper thing that sticks up, that is right where my shadow finger is pointing, right there. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, just keep playing with it. But yeah, that's somewhere with release back in. Right. So I finished It's Getting Dark, and stop trying to focus. I finished It's Getting Dark. So I thought I would do this. The car's not running, but my RPM gauge, it's up. Dimmer still works. All that's normal. The only unfortunate thing, I was playing with the bulb, and it fell out from that side, so it's now somewhere behind my dash. So, make sure that doesn't happen with yours. If you're playing around with the bulbs and you're trying to set it, like I was trying to shift it because it kept flickering. So I was trying to like kind of clean the connection and do all that stuff while the gauges were in the car but loose, and I had them like more angled towards me. I dropped the bulb behind the dash, somewhere behind the dash. I don't know if it's gonna fall out when I'm driving. I'm hoping it does. That way I can get another. That way I don't have to get another one. But I might have to make a junkyard trip. So I'm just mentioning that as a yeah. But don't let that happen because mine fell out behind the dash now. Anyway, it's all good though. It's nice and white. It's pretty cool. Nice bright white light. But yeah, just thought I would say that. And I also had to sand the connections with 400 grit sandpaper earlier when I had the gauges in the house. I didn't mention that. Well, I meant to mention it earlier, but I forgot to. So let's see. The LED. What I've noticed with LEDs is they have a bad connection. If they have a bad connection, then they'll flicker. They won't really be as bright, or a combination of the two. Like they're not really. I don't know, they need a good connection. So give them a good connection. Make sure they have a clean, solid connection. I wish this thing would stop trying to focus. It's in focus, and it keeps focusing. Right there. Stay right there. So, yeah. So just take like 400 grit sandpaper. I wouldn't use anything other than that. If you only have like 800 or 1000, then yeah, I mean, use it. But don't use anything that's a higher grit than 400, meaning something that has, or I guess lower grit. It would be like 320, 200, 60, 80. I mean, that's like, it's the lower the number, the more coarse it is, and the higher the number, the more fine it is. So you want a finer sandpaper just to clean the connection so that you have a good solid connection. I did that on these two, and they're good. The left two gauges. Unfortunately, the right right third of the gauge is not lit up because, yeah, I dropped the bulb. So that's that. Don't learn from my mistakes. Don't do that. So, but thanks for watching. Subscribe. I will try to not ramble this much in future videos. So don't leave me negative feedback because I'm rambling. Yeah. So thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this far. And enjoy your blue or purple or red or yellow or whatever color of the rainbow or multiple colors of the rainbow you want your gauge lights to be. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it was informative. And yeah, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Thanks.